All in Sports Network. We love sports.
The aftermath of the Kansas City Chiefs losing 22-19 is here, as it's Overreaction Monday, talking about the overreactions on Twitter, on social media, and really just all around about the Kansas City Chiefs. Are the playoffs in jeopardy? Have they hit a new low in the past 9 years? We talk about it, break it down, and of course, ESPN today released an article kind of really digesting the entire Chiefs team of, are the playoffs in jeopardy? Is Patrick Mahomes to blame? Is this something that can be fixed? If Patrick Mahomes goes down, what happens to this team in the future? There's a lot of question marks that we will answer here today on the show as we talk about the latest article, go through it, break it down. I'll give you my opinion as to whether or not this Chiefs team is in jeopardy of losing the playoffs and all of the statistics behind it. But without further ado, we welcome you in here to the Chiefs Report on the Rogue Sports Network. Really do thank you for making us a part of your day. Kansas City obviously is in kind of newfound territory. I want to say it's something they've not experienced before, because we all remember the days before 2016 and some very tough seasons in long years past. But since 2016, it's been sunshine and rainbows. They've had an 8-year streak of winning the AFC West, or the AFC West, and now it seems like that is probably out of the picture. And so today there's like I said, a couple of things I want to go through, but I do want to start with the kind of new low they've experienced in NFL power rankings and the way people view them, and kind of some intriguing thoughts on that. And so that's where we first start with a couple of different Week 12 NFL power rankings. Obviously, there is technically still a game tonight with the Cowboys and the Raiders facing off. Technically, I guess that could affect the Chiefs, but in my opinion, both of them are below them either way. So let's kind of take a look and kind of see what everybody is saying. So first of all, we look at a couple of different power rankings, and no matter where you look, the power ranking doesn't have them better than 14. There's a bunch of stuff in Arizona Republic, Sporting News, a couple of different outlets talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think the best solution and the best in all this, in the rankings, being ranked 16th, 18th, and 14th in the power rankings that were released today. They were dropping 4 spots, 5 slots, and 6 slots in those rankings. But the biggest thing, I think, is the first statement from Vinny Iver, a writer for the Sporting News. He came out, and his quote was really the one that stuck out to me. He said, "The Chiefs don't need to be in full panic mode yet, but they can possibly say goodbye to their shot at 10 consecutive divisional titles and may need to run the table, starting with the mighty Colts in Week 12 just to ensure a wild card." And I thought that was interesting because we mentioned it in yesterday's postgame show, but the Broncos were not really a must-win game. Now, when I talked about that game, I said if you lost, though, that the Colts may become a must-win game. And while I don't believe you have to beat the Colts to go out and make the playoffs, I do think losing to them puts you in a very, very bad hole. And so, am I going to call this upcoming game against the Indianapolis Colts a must-win game? No, probably not. I'm not going to call it a must-win game. Am I going to look at this game and say, this can really change your season one way or the other? Yes. Yes. And the same could have been said for the Denver Broncos game. Because if we beat Denver, if yesterday the game goes in the Kansas City way, Will Lutz misses the field goal, you're able to score on that final drive, not have a 3-and-out that resulted in negative 11 yards in the drive, maybe we're talking about a different situation here. But that's not what happened. The Chiefs lost. They're 5-5. They're in a very horrendous spot and are most likely going to be 5-6 by the end of the week. I want to sit here and say I have confidence in them to beat the Indianapolis Colts and that they are the Kansas City Chiefs and that no one can ever truly count them out. But I don't feel that way this year. I don't see this team as one that can beat the Colts. Yes, you are going to be in your own home stadium. And yes, you have played a lot better at home. And while I don't say it's out of the picture that they go out there and beat the Indianapolis Colts, I find it highly, highly unlikely. And so where does that leave us in kind of looking at this Chiefs team as a whole / what are the actual goals of this team from here on out? The first thing we have to assess is this team a playoff contending team? I still believe 100% it is a playoff contending team. And that's exactly where I kind of want to go and look at this article from ESPN, because today they had a whole article. Bill Barnwell, really good piece. I recommend you go check it out. But he talked about a bunch of different things for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he had about 6 different sections. The sections he had were: are the Chiefs broken? Why isn't Mahomes bailing them out? What's actually different in this season as compared to prior years? Does this ever happen to elite QBs? Talking about the struggles Mahomes has had. And then, of course, the last 2 things, which probably the most important in my mind: could they miss the playoffs, and could they still win it all? And I'm going to jump straight to could they miss the playoffs, because ultimately, I think that is the biggest thing to me, at least in my opinion, that this Kansas City Chiefs squad, if they can make the playoffs, nothing is out of the ordinary. Nothing is going to shock me whether they go out there and win a Super Bowl or they go out there and lose in the first round. I think if they make the playoffs, I don't see that as a death sentence in some aspect. I think it'd be really tough, and I don't think I would pick them against the Colts, the Broncos, the Patriots, or even the Steelers or the Chargers, but I don't think I would say that they don't have a single shot. What do the statistics say? What is the right now percentage chance of Kansas City legitimately not making the playoffs? Well, it's actually probably not as high as you would think. In terms of their chance of making the postseason, FPI, which is usually the one that everybody goes to in terms of looking at postseason odds and certain statistics like that, the Chiefs have right now a 54.4 chance of making the playoffs. Obviously, do your own math. That means they have a 44.6% chance of missing the playoffs. In that light, yes, you were on a teeter-totter scale. And if you lose this game against the Colts, which I think in all likelihood you probably will, that percentage will most likely go down to below 50%. However, you have to continue to look at the Kansas City Chiefs schedule. And while, yes, the Colts are a very good team, and you still have to play the Chargers and the Broncos again, I would argue the rest of your schedule is in a very good state. Now, we still have to watch and see the Cowboys tonight, because that will ultimately be your matchup after this weekend, as you'll face off against Dallas, Dak Prescott, and their newly defensive and their new defense as a whole. I mean, they have like 5 different new starters tonight. By the way, you're going to face them on Thursday night of Thanksgiving, and if you lose this game, that game is a crazy one for both standards, because the Cowboys are in kind of a fighting for their playoffs, and the Chiefs, if they lose this upcoming game against the Colts, are going to be in a fighting for their playoffs mindset. So it really does kind of change the way this all goes. But in terms of winning the division, obviously we know they've won it for 9 consecutive years. Going back to 2016, the Chiefs have won, and not only they've won, they've had 10 wins in every single year. In fact, the lowest amount of wins was 10 wins back in 2017 when they went 10-6. Obviously, they've added a game to the schedule since then, so that helps in some rights. But at the same time, winning 10 games, I actually think, is not as a downright thing as you could expect in some aspects. I mean, again, you do have a relatively easy schedule moving forward. You look at this team and say, okay, the Colts are very good, but you play them in Arrowhead. Okay. Well, I think they could potentially win the game. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not going to say they should, but they could potentially win the game. Past that mark, you have 5 wins. You have 7 games left. Simple math. You need to win 5 of your last 7 games. Well, let's talk about the opponents here, because Dallas, I think, is a win. Houston's a win. Los Angeles, potential, and then Tennessee and Las Vegas. I think if you can beat Dallas, Houston, Tennessee, and Las Vegas, you'll get an extra win somewhere in there between Denver, Los Angeles, and Indianapolis, and you've got yourself 10 wins. But the biggest question, the one that we started to answer here, is are they going to miss the playoffs? I think in all likelihood, no. I don't think the playoffs are inherently in jeopardy. I think they can be, and I think it could really change the way that you look at it if you are able to, or if you're unable to go out there and beat the Indianapolis Colts this week, and then you followed up by losing to the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving, then yeah, the playoffs are certainly in jeopardy at that point. But does that mean that right now they are in jeopardy? No, they're not in jeopardy. Does that mean, though, that we can go past to the next question that is answered in this, and asking, can they still win the Super Bowl? Well, I'm going to give way to ESPN in this because I like to say that I am an unbiased person in this situation, but I can't. I've covered the Chiefs for 5 years. I'm obviously a Kansas City guy. I want them to do the great things. And so I don't think it's fair to me to say that this team can't win a Super Bowl because I truly do believe if they make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. It becomes a different team. We've seen how Patrick Mahomes can flip a switch, and he flips the team's switch. It's not just his. And so let's read what ESPN had to say about Kansas City and asking if they can still win the Super Bowl. Again, full article about it, and he finishes off by saying, quote, "As someone who perennially picks the Chiefs to win the Lombardi Trophy, even in years where I simultaneously project their regular season record to decline, I have to finish up by weighing this side of the equation. If the top tier of the AFC is really a blurry mess, and I believe the Chiefs can still be part of it, it doesn't seem outlandish to suggest that they could get hot and seriously compete in the postseason, as teams quarterbacked by the likes of Allen and Rodgers have done in the past." And I think that's the biggest thing, is when you look at past scenarios and 5-5 teams, what were the quarterbacks that were able to get it done and go to the playoffs? More importantly, what were the teams and what were the quarterbacks that were able to go and win Super Bowls? Well, they answer that question as well. Has any team ever gone from 5-5 to winning a Super Bowl title? One. When I talked about Brady earlier, I didn't mention his 2001 Patriots. Since Brady was a rookie and took over for injured Drew Bledsoe in week 2, a loss to the Rams dropped the Patriots to 5-5 in mid-November. That's what right now the Chiefs are. Now, however, it did follow by the Patriots winning their final 6 games of the regular season. They finished 11-5 and claimed a first-round bye. They obviously went on to win the Super Bowl against the Rams. Tom Brady did it. There's a guy that did it. Now, the Giants were 6-6 before they won their second title over Brady in 2011, so pretty close situation. But ultimately, if you look at teams who have been in this situation, who have been in struggling teams with amazing quarterbacks, it's only been the amazing quarterbacks and maybe even the best of the best quarterbacks that have been able to, one, make a run on the playoffs, and two, legitimately compete for a Super Bowl title. Now, I don't know about you, but I would like to think that Patrick Mahomes is a part of that top-tier quarterback group. I would rank him in the likes of Brady and Allen, and I forget Allen. I'd rank Brady, Rodgers, Drew Brees. It's what Patrick Mahomes is going for. And so for the people who want to diminish the Chiefs, and I'm certainly one who tries to be realistic as possible, you can never count out a team who, one, still has the ability to make the playoffs, as long as they're out right now, but has the quarterbacking of Patrick Mahomes, that has the best tight end of all time in Travis Kelce, and has a very good offensive line, and maybe one of the best coaches of all time in Andy Reid, and a good defensive corner. I can't say much about Matt Nagy. I am not a Matt Nagy fan, but that is just the way it is. And so I don't think you can ever balance that out. However, that's where I want to continue on kind of talking about this situation, because in the ESPN article, they asked, why isn't Mahomes bailing them out now? Because we've seen Mahomes do it in plenty of years where these one-score games the Chiefs continuously lose in this season, Mahomes pulls them out. In prior years, when the Chiefs got that ball, were tied 16-16, they wouldn't have gone 3-and-out with negative 11 yards. Mahomes would have drove them down the field. They would have scored a touchdown, game would have been over. It's not what happened. We discussed that coming up here next on the Chiefs Report, so don't go away. We're going to take a break and be right back here on the Rogue Sports Network.
Are you ready to take control of your health? At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. Say goodbye to long waits and office visits. Check your health on your own terms with 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today and free yourself from traditional medicine. That's the number 4uhealth.com. Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
Have you ever watched true crime television and wondered, how did they get that story?
I can show you. I was a producer for 48 Hours on CBS News.
In my exclusive tell-all book, I'll take you where no audience has ever gone before. Don't miss out. Secure your copy of Killer Story: The Truth Behind True Crime Television today. Available everywhere books are sold.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion-resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
We haven't been looking for you. Wake up.
Hellhound Country, available anywhere you get your podcasts. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Welcome back here to the Chiefs Report. I'm Jace Andrews, and of course, we're talking about Kansas City and what the expectation is moving forward after their 22-19 loss versus the Denver Broncos, with the number one team, or I guess tied for number one team in the AFC, Indianapolis Colts, coming up in the upcoming week. And we've kind of mentioned about the playoffs and really don't think they are in jeopardy, at least inherently. I think that could change within the next 2 weeks with talks of losing to Indianapolis and then potentially losing to the Cowboys. That would change my opinion. But if you were able to, even if you lose to Indianapolis, beat the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, I still believe in this team. And I still believe that this is a team that can go out there and compete in the AFC if you just make the playoffs. But I think one thing that I've talked about so much, but I don't think we've actually gone too in depth by, is the fact that every time the Chiefs lose, it's been by one score. And every time they lose, I don't think there's been that one play or that one thing that's like, that's something I wish we could have done better or fixed or replaced. Basically, there's not one singular play that I can look to and say, if we'd have just fixed that, then we would have won that game easily. That's not the way the season has gone. But funny enough, every question I've had, it's always the biggest one. It's how did we lose that game? Why did we lose that game? And I think that's what a lot of Chiefs fans are asking themselves right now is, why are we losing these games? And funny enough, throughout this ESPN article, it was talked about, and I agree wholeheartedly with, there truly isn't that much of a difference between this year's team, what is 5-5, and then last year's team, which is 15-1 before they sat out their starters in the final week. let's look at the stats and kind of go through this. Okay, so first of all, if you forget the Broncos game last year, which again, that was Carson Wentz, the starters were not out there, and they played the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs won by an average of 6.1 points per game. If we look at through 10 weeks here in the 2025 Chiefs, they actually have a better win differential. 7.3 points is the win differential here. Now, the problem is they've lost the close ones. 5 of their victories have come by an average of 19 points, including substantial wins over the Lions and the Ravens. Now, if you kind of expect what you can, let's just say this. There is a theory in the NFL where basically you can look at a team's stats, you can look at a team's expected and average winning, and kind of almost predict a team to how many games they're going to win. It's a dumb name, I'm sorry, but the Pythagorean expectation formula. It's a stupid thing, but football has a bunch of stupid stats. However, it's intriguing to me for this specific point alone. If we use that same formula, which takes over stats, which takes over the play of other opponents, how good the other teams are, their stats, and putting all this into a system, it shoots out what the expected win total is, or at least a number range of that expected win total for that certain team. And funny enough, the Chiefs, who are 5-5 right now, and through 10 weeks of the season, have 3 extra losses more than last season in the entire year when they lost a game, I'm not going to say purposely, but didn't really try in that last game of the year. The 2024 Chiefs were projected to win 10.2 games. In 2025, using that same expectation formula, the 2025 Chiefs are expected to win 11.7 games. The problem is when those points occur, how those points occur, and it's a human sport and the human emotional side of it. And the biggest thing that I look like, I know they won games after it, but that Jaguars loss was a huge blow to this team. Because right now you could still be sitting at a very good record of 6-4? That's a pretty dang good record. Or 6-5, whatever I guess it'd be 5-4, 6-4, whatever it would be. That changes the outlook of this team. Gets you an extra win, takes you a loss, you're 6-4. But that's not the way it went. And what's also not taken into expectation in that formula is the road win and the home win expectations. In that formula, it has it as being played in a neutral site. That's not something that this Chiefs team in 2025 can use, because there is a very different expectation for the Kansas City team we see in Arrowhead Stadium versus the Chiefs team we have seen in Denver, in Orchard Park, Buffalo, in Jacksonville, in Brazil when they took on the Chargers at the beginning of the year. It's very, very different in the way they've looked and in the victories they've had at home versus the lone victory they've had on the road. That changes a lot of expectations. That changes a lot of viewpoints on this team and really kind of throws off the way we can expect this team to do. But again, the biggest question that we are trying to ask in all this is, why isn't this team winning like they're expected to win? Well, the difference was the average margin of victory last season may have been less, but they were winning the close games. And you have lost every single game this season by single digits, by one score. You change 3 of those games, and this team is viewed in a different light. I really do believe you're able to pull out that first victory against LA in week 1. Maybe Xavier Worthy doesn't get injured by his own teammate, and you're able to win that game. Maybe you don't lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars when you had a substantial lead, and you're able to pull that one out. Maybe in Orchard Park, you have a better situation. You were able to get the victory. I know you don't usually win the regular season, so maybe you go out there yesterday. You beat the Denver Broncos. 3 wins right there completely changes this team. Completely changes. You're talking about an 8-2 team all of a sudden. And it's one-score games. It's one-score games. When you are 5-5, just a couple games can change the entire viewpoint of this team. And we talked about power rankings at the beginning of the show. I'd have to say, if the Chiefs, even if they won these games by 2 points, 3 points, that power ranking would be a lot higher. because they were able to win the close games. So what's the difference? It's Mahomes. It's this offense. And I'm not putting blame on Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that these losses are his fault. I'm just saying that last year, some of the wins were because of him, were because of the way the offense was able to be successful in clutch situations. But they weren't doing that. In fact, we can go back to yesterday. You talk about having the ball tied with 4 minutes plus some extra garbage time, little time, extra change, you could say, on the clock. And you spend a minute and 20 seconds of it to go 3 plays for negative 11 yards with penalties. That doesn't happen to the 2024 team. And so, is there a reason that we can specifically point to and say, last year in clutch time situations, they did this, and this year in clutch time situations, they did this, and that's the reason they're not winning? I don't think it's that simple, because trust me, I've gone probably a little crazy looking through this article, looking through stats, looking through different situations in 2024 and in 2025, and how the expected wins for each side is very similar, yet these teams are viewed in 2 very different ways. And there's nothing that can legitimately change the way this game looks or this season looks. So it's really just about looking at the problems of this team and saying that, last year when you won those 1-score games, maybe that could have been the issue. Talk about the running back play and how Kareem Hunt is doing fine, but it's not the same as the running back group we had last year when Pacheco was doing a lot better and Kareem came in and did some great things. It's not the same as having this defensive line unit not committing or not getting the sacks that we expect them to get. They're getting the pressure rate. They're in the backfield constantly. They're just not taking down the quarterback. So if they get a couple extra sacks, if they get a couple extra takeaways, if they get a couple extra big runs, because they've had very few big runs, maybe that changes the outlook of some of those losses. It's also the defense in clutch situations, and that's something that also is a big thing. You think about a couple of different times this season, defense wasn't able to stop. I know they were put into tough situations. Again, I don't want to think I'm trying to find a scapegoat here, but I'm just laying out the facts to you. The Chiefs' defense was tasked with stopping Denver from getting into field goal range, and they couldn't do it. The Chiefs' defense was given a tremendous lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars and was tasked with just slowing their offense down, and they couldn't do it. The defense is a part of this as well, and so there's blame to go around, and when a team who has won consecutive titles in the AFC West, as the Chiefs have done, and going for their 10th straight, the blame is going to be passed around. And I think that's the biggest overarching theme of today's show is these overreactions, these blames being put on this guy or that guy, or why people almost internally fighting with, not fighting, but like giving their opinion as to why this team is losing. It's all of it. There's not one singular thing to point and blame, say that's the reason, because each game it's been something different. In Jacksonville, it was the defense not being able to slow down an offense. And in some ways, yeah, I guess you could say if Patrick has scored another, but he scored a lot. In Denver, it's you got the ball. You were tied 16-16. You only got 1 touchdown in that game. You didn't do anything. The difference is there. The difference is there. And so for the people out there trying to find something that they can fix, find something they can do, that might be the most worrying issue to me, is that there is not one simple thing that has lost them every single game. There is not one simple thing that you can flip and switch, and this team is back to normal. And that might be the scariest thing, because it's not an easy fix. It's not something you can just be like, we're going to do that. We're going to fix it. And then this Chiefs team, we're going to be back to normal. Because we got the same players from last year in a lot of aspects. It's not that way. It's not. Now, of course, you look to the Indianapolis game and say, could this team win? For sure they could win. Do I expect them to? I don't think I do. We'll keep talking about that. We'll have injury reports starting on Wednesday and kind of breaking down this entire week for the Kansas City Chiefs as we go about looking at what the expectation is moving forward. Any updates from Andy Reid we get? Obviously, Kingsley Su'Mataia still in concussion protocol. Seems like we'll get some more updates on him either tomorrow or Wednesday. Want to make sure that he is all good. And the way that we saw him walk off that field, though, I have a very high doubt that he will be able to participate in this upcoming game against the Indianapolis Colts, but we'll get updates throughout the week. Obviously, Coach Reed will tell us stuff on Wednesday and more, but that's what we got for you in this edition of the Chiefs Report. Thank you for listening. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, my rant, just trying to figure out what's wrong with the Chiefs. And right now, it's a lot of things. It's not just one thing. So we appreciate listening. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about any updates we get from Coach Reed and all the latest Kansas City Chiefs news. So we appreciate you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time here on the Chiefs Report.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.